Well, Rick, was very excited to talk to you because you're a legend in the sport.
Isn't it mean when you're a legend that you're dead?
No, you're a living legend.
Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, I think I'm still alive.
Is it true that you've designed the Gold's Gym logo?
As a matter of fact, that's it right there.
So what's the story behind it? What year was it, and how did you actually, come about doing it?
A lot of people know this, but I was training with Arnold and Ken Waller and the guys, and I've always doodled on napkins when I go to eat. I'm making caricatures of people, and in high school I drew T-shirt designs for some of the groups there. So they asked me, they said, look, we need a T-shirt design because none of the gyms have T-shirts except for Vince's, and it said Vince's Gym, there's no design. Can you draw something? So I said, yeah, I guess. So I drew this guy, this little bald-headed guy, drew him on a napkin in a deli. And they took it over to a printer, and they printed up a dozen shirts and put them in the gym, and they were sold the first hour. So we did another few dozen, and then from that point on, it carried over to 3 different owners, and it became a trademark, and it became the largest iconic logo sold in the world today. That and Mickey Mouse, I believe. Joe Gold had sold the gym, and he became a merchant marine, which he was, and he came back in '76, and he said, I'm going to open another gym because I want my gym back. But he had sold his name, and he says, I need a logo. Can you draw me something? I said, what would you like? He said, I'd like Gorilla. So I also drew the World Gym Gorilla, too, which I have a World Gym shirt on, but not the Gorilla. I have both logos, which ties me to both gyms, Gold's and World. Joe Gold had built his gym in 1965 on the beaches of Venice. Back in those days, you could buy property, beachfront property, for $5,000 or $6,000. I mean, like really cheap. And you own property all over Venice and Santa Monica, and they all trained outdoors. Muscle Beach was an outdoor gym. Steve Reeves, all the old guys from the 50s. And weather conditions, they'd close the gyms down certain times of the year. So he decided to build a cinder block building in '65 and brought all the guys inside in bad weather where they could train. He built all of his own equipment. He had one shower. He had a heater in the ceiling that didn't work, but still it was a gym. And the equipment was fantastic. He charged $40 a year. If you didn't have any money, he didn't charge you. So that gym went on, and then in '69, when Arnold came over, I moved in there, Franco came in, Joe Weider would come down and take photos of everybody training, and he'd put them in the magazine. People around the world would see this magazine, and they'd see the gym, Gold's Gym, where all the champions trained, and thought, well, this has got to be the place to go, not realizing it was probably no more than 2,000 or 3,000 square feet building. But it became the mecca of bodybuilding. It became very, very popular with Joe Weider and Joe Gold. And then as time moved on, they graduated to different buildings, and now it's on Hampton in Venice. That's the 4th owner, I believe, Amino Hotels, who really aren't interested in bodybuilding. They're just interested in making money. And the gym has changed. And the funny thing is, I was down at Gold's this Sunday and the Sunday before to take my girlfriend to LAX, and I stopped by just to say hi. None of the people are there anymore. It's all new group, all young group. If you asked them who Joe Gold was, they don't know. I mean, if it hadn't been for him and me and the logo, there'd be no gym today or no bodybuilding like that. So it's kind of funny how things evolve and things become forgotten after a while.
Do you have like a craziest story from Gold's Gym in that time period?
Well, a lot of things stick in my mind. The thing is that was a man's gym. It was all men because women didn't go to a bodybuilding gym. They went to like a spa like Jack LaLanne. There were a couple of women that joined the gym. They trained with the guys. The problem being is he only had one bathroom. He had one shower and one toilet. So if the woman wanted to shower, they had to shower in the men's shower. So there would be times I'd be in the shower showering, and then someone would turn around and say, can you hand me the soap? Because he kept soap in the dishes. And it'd be a girl. But they handed her the soap. Or they'd be using the toilet without a door on it. I mean, this is it. We got used to it. It wasn't a big deal because the '70s was kind of like that. You had a sauna down below, and some guys would pick girls off the street and they bring them in and do them in the sauna while you're sitting in there. It was a strange lifestyle, but that's Venice Beach in the '70s. That's just how it was. No one ever thought any different.
So, Rick, you've been involved in professional wrestling and bodybuilding in your career.
Yeah.
Why do you think professional wrestling became so hugely popular and bodybuilding is still such a niche sport?
Well, bodybuilding is popular. I mean, it's around the world. Everybody's involved in that. Wrestling, and I'll tell you why, because bodybuilding is not publicly known on TV like a network, for example. Wrestling was not either. When I got into wrestling, I was looked on as a freak in my hometown. Why would you want to do a thing like that? We're all farmers and we sell cars and we work in oil fields. But I was a guitarist in the band. And I had a good deal with Capitol Records. I knew entertainment was what I wanted. So I was trained for bodybuilding, but I also trained for wrestling in '65 because it's just a different thing. So I made the TV, I made Channel 5, I made Channel 13. I was seen in Hollywood. Because of that, I was asked to do movies and commercials because I was seen on TV. Not because of bodybuilding, because of wrestling. But the fact that I was a bodybuilder, it lent itself to the fact I was in good shape. Now, I believe it was in the '80s, Vince McMahon took over WWE, which was originally NWA from his dad, passed away, and he was able to get Hulk Hogan and Cyndi Lauper on Saturday Night Live, national TV show on Saturday night. They became popular. He was able to work his way in once a month and run wrestling on that time slot, which became worldwide. So all of these smaller federations of wrestling started to bow out because they couldn't compete with the national level of wrestling, and they couldn't get Hulk Hogan. Once that took off and it became a national thing on TV like it is now, the popularity just went to the top because of the exposure. You don't see anything about bodybuilding on TV, and so it's not going to rise like wrestling did. You know, unless somebody had a national bodybuilding network, but what are you going to do with sets and reps 24/7? You know, you have to have the conflicts that they have on wrestling, good versus evil, and bodybuilding, you don't have that.
Now, Rick, what do you think about the popularity of such guys like C.C. Fletcher, Rich Piana?
Well, Rich is a really good friend of mine. I've known him for 30 years. I know his mother. I know him when I got him on a commercial with me one day. We did a Dr. Pepper commercial before he had any tattoos, and they wanted a wrestler. And there was all these guys in the waiting room. I said, come in with me, Rich. I'll show you a couple of holds. We'll go through it. We'll both book the spot. And we did. So we did the commercial, and then we did something else together, and then something else. And then he started going extreme with what he's doing now. He's got a method to his madness, and he's creating an audience, a huge audience, because he's so abnormal, the tattoos and the thickness of the muscle and all that. He's got followers, and he knows he's capitalizing on it. I don't think it's going to go forever. I think he's going to end up hurting himself because he's getting too big. He's gained another 20, 30 pounds. He's over 300. It's not healthy on the heart. Something's going to give. Something has to give. You blow something up big enough, something's going to bust. But that's how he promotes himself. He can't compete anymore. He can't even do TV commercials anymore because of the tattoos. They're not going to hire him.
I guess what I'm trying to say is the guys that have personality, oftentimes they have more following than necessarily like the people that are on top of the sport. You know what I'm saying?
No question about it. Take a look in your own friends and who has the personality, and who's getting all the girls, and who's having a good time because they have a personality. Take a look at bodybuilding back in the 70s. Why did Arnold get as far as he did? Because he had charisma. He had a personality. He knew how to talk to people. Frank Zane didn't. Frank Zane was deadpan, didn't talk to anybody. So therefore, he never got anything. And today he's bitter about it. He just didn't project himself. Arnold was friends with everybody. He knew how to work his way in. This guy comes from a foreign country. He becomes the best bodybuilder in the world. He becomes the biggest box office, and he becomes the governor of California. Why? Because he's got a personality, and he's smart. So that's what it takes. People try to follow us. I want to be like Arnold. Well, being big like Arnold isn't the answer, but being smart like Arnold and having the charisma is what the answer is. And so many guys don't. They depend on their body to be their calling card. And once you get past the body, they have nothing to offer. And I've had a lot of women tell me that, oh, I want this guy and that guy. He has nothing to talk about. All he talks about is training and diet and eggs and protein and farting and whatever, and that's the end of it. It's true. So you've got to have a personality in anything you do, even talk shows or this type of thing. If you don't generate a personality and charisma, people aren't going to watch you or listen to you. It's just the way of life, acting the same way.
In a recent months, I've spoken to Sean Ray, Dorian Yates, all the guys that were competing in the 90s, and all of them unanimously say that they don't respect today's bodybuilders pretty much, I guess, the same way you're looking at it, right? It seems like the older generation doesn't really respect the new generation. Would you agree?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. You look at the guys, okay, it does take a lot of work. Hats off to them. It takes a lot of work to get big. But so many of them look alike. The delts and the arms and all that, they're huge and they're ripped. They all look alike. So you know they're all on something really unique to get that size. We had size back in those days, but we didn't have it like that. It's just gone way extreme. And the minute they go off, everything drops down. These guys you just talked about, look at their size now compared to when they were on. They're like half the size. You know, I'd rather stay a little bit smaller and stay a little bit healthier and still look good in my clothes than to be another 40, 50 pounds heavier and look ridiculous. Because the general public doesn't accept it anyway. They think, look at that freak. We were looked upon as freaks in the 70s. But we started getting movie work and TV and being seen more and more. Then when Arnold got on The Tonight Show and he started doing Conan, it became more accepted. Then they realized how bright he was, that he wasn't stupid. Then it became more accepted. Because if you go back to the 40s and 50s, a bodybuilder was thinking as a musclehead and he just had no brains. And that was the concept of bodybuilding. Narcissist, and he looked in the mirror and had no brains.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the drugs, Rick, but, you know, even in those days when you were at Gold's Gym with Arnold, I mean, those guys, those bodybuilders were using drugs, obviously, right?
Yeah, they were using very simple drugs. I mean, today it's gotten really elaborate with the insulin and the growth hormones and all that kind of stuff. All we had basically was testosterone, Dianabol, and Deca, at minimal at that. And so I got my hands on it when I was 18, just D-ball, and I really grew with it. The stuff was good. It was real. But today there's so much fake, bogus stuff that when you inject something in your body, it could be salad oil. You don't even know. You're paying a guy for something. You say, oh, it's great. And then you inject something wrong and you get sick from it. So I'm not big on that. Also, you have to realize, we all go through life and we grow up a little bit as we mature, we hope. And now looking back on things that I had done, I never was extreme on anything, but today I definitely wouldn't be because I go to a cardiologist, I get physicals, I know I'm in good health. There's always an issue of something with your heart, and I've heard of so many of my friends dying lately from heart attacks that it scares me when I think of what they're putting in their body, that they don't think about the outcome. It could have a bad heart. Anything could happen. So you got to be a little cautious about what you do. Just to be big is not the answer. To be in shape and look healthy and look good, that's the answer.
Now, Rick, what do you think about this weird thing that's happening now, which is use of synthol or some kind of oil that people inject in themselves to basically build fake muscle? I don't know what that is even. What do you think about that?
There's guys in my gym that use it. There's one in particular. He injects his traps, his delts, his bicep, tricep, everywhere he can. And all of a sudden, he comes to the gym and he's sick. He's got a bad infection. He has an abscess, and it started to fester in his arm, and it was oozing pus all over the machines and all over the floor. He injected this stuff, and it got infected. Went to the doctor. He almost died. They said, no more. You can't do this anymore. Put him on antibiotics, and now he's off of it. So you've got to be careful because it's a fat, well, it's a thick oil that goes into the muscle, and it just blows out like a balloon would. But as it dissipates and comes down, it's got to go somewhere. So it's going to go through your bloodstream. What if it goes through your bloodstream and clogs your heart? You get a clot or something like that from this stuff. People don't think about the side effects. Going up is one thing, coming down is another. So it's not the most pleasing thing, and it doesn't look great. I mean, I see guys, they have big biceps and triceps, small forearms, or they do a delt, but they forget another body part. If you take one thing and make it too big, everything else has to go along with it. So pretty soon you're injecting everything. You can't just inject one body part and say, okay, I'm fine, because they're not satisfied with that.
I hear you. Now, Rick, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you, Rick.
Thank you. Can I just plug one thing?
What's that?
I want to plug my website, rickdrasin.com.
Absolutely.
And my show, Rick's Corner, which has a lot of legends of bodybuilding. I have a lot of people on. I shoot 2 to 3 shows a week. I have the Original Goals Gym T-shirts for sale with my signature at rickdrasinoriginals.com. I also have 4 new designs on bodybuilding.com. And if you go to my website, you'll see what I have for sale along with the logo as well. So that's how you find me. And also on my Facebook. Go there and sign me on.
YouTube has kind of given us that platform. It's like you don't have to be on MTV right now. You can just be yourself and start your own show, put it on YouTube, and it'll get out there. And I just started saying the things that were on my mind, and I would talk to other coaches and trainers and stuff at the gym. They were like, you should put these like on video, and I was like, nobody's gonna watch these things. They don't care, And I did a couple, and then it really started to blow up, and